WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
A highly anticipated update from the U.S. Coast Guard and search teams for the missing Titan sub at the Titanic wreckage site in the North Atlantic. What are the sounds being heard in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean? And is it a sign of life that the 5-member crew aboard the Titan sub is still alive with the air supply now less than 24 hours away from running out? Hello there to you folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Let's go live to the shot from the U.S. Coast Guard press conference and show you that things are set up and ready to go for a press conference that is about to begin at 1 o'clock Eastern time. What I'm going to be doing here over the course of this live stream in the next 5 minutes is asking everyone watching, wherever you're watching from, if it's here in the United States, internationally, whether you're watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, if you're joining us on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, we want to hear from you. What is your number one question? I want everyone to put on their reporter hats for a second, and we're going to go to some of the comments that are coming in on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. What is your number one question that you want answered? I'll be back here in just about 30 seconds with some of the questions that you're asking using hashtag HeyJB across Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, and the rest of social media. As we look here at some of the questions that are coming in, people are asking some questions such as ABC wants to know, hashtag HeyJB, will they ever release the sound of the banging, this sound that has been heard, these underwater noises that have been heard over the course of the search efforts that have been coming out through various reports, an internal government memo that was obtained by the media, or at least communicated out to the media, that a banging sound has been heard. What exactly is the sound of the banging? Will it be released to the media? I'm sure that that's not high on their priority list. Right now, they are trying to, of course, ascertain the source and the origin point of the sound of the banging that's coming from the Atlantic Ocean. How far deep down is it? Is it actually being heard in 30-minute intervals? Is it an SOS in Morse code? So many questions that are being asked right now, and rightfully so. Let's see here. We have this one from YHD. I think we can answer this one. Hashtag HeyJB. What do you think? Is it a rescue or a recovery mission? It is a rescue mission for the time being. They are, of course, approaching the situation with the knowledge that they have to, with the assumption that the 5-member crew is alive. And so they are trying to do everything they can to find the missing Titan sub, recover it from the depths of the ocean, and, of course, save the 5 crew members on board. I think this is a really big question. Another update on the estimated number of hours of oxygen left. People wanting to know. Now, yesterday we had a press conference and it was at 1 o'clock Eastern, and they said that they had 40 to 41 hours of oxygen left yesterday at this time. And that's an estimated 40 to 41 hours. So if you subtract 24, of course, you get approximately 16 to 17 hours of oxygen remaining. And that means that the race is quite literally against the clock. And of course, we have different assets and different salvage operations that are arriving now on scene or arriving in the coming hours. It is a race against the clock. And that time, of course, would be Thursday at 5 a.m. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. is when they are estimated to run out of air. It is a very urgent and frantic search right now for the government agencies involved, of course, Ocean Gate Expeditions, and the private entities that have offered their services to help out as well. I do have audio up full blast, or actually, hold on.
However, we need everyone to clear out by 1:30 today. You will no longer have base access after 1:30 this afternoon. So we need to get everyone cleared out as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
Quick housekeeping note for the U.S. Coast Guard as they are dealing with a growing number of media outlets that are trying to get to this location to feed back the press conference. You can now hear that we do have full audio. They just turned it up, and I was just confirming that we do have a strong signal from, again, the U.S. Coast Guard and the press conference that is about to begin at 1 o'clock Eastern time. That is 1 minute from now. The Coast Guard has been very punctual with their time. They have been right on time with every press conference thus far, so we anticipate this press conference beginning very soon. At that time, let me explain, I will mute my microphone, I will be listening in, and then, of course, afterwards, we will break down what we have learned, what we still don't know, and where things go from here. But again, to be clear, this is an extremely active search that is going on right now in the North Atlantic. More and more assets are coming in every few hours. More things are arriving. So the crew members are now, we're hearing, walking up to the podium. Let's listen in. Interactive coverage after the press conference concludes here on WFLA Now.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we'll be hosting another press briefing to discuss any updates regarding the search and rescue case for the submersible Titan that's located approximately 900 nautical miles offshore in the vicinity of the wreck of the Titanic. Today we will have speaking Captain Frederick, Response Coordinator of the 1st Coast Guard District. He'll be giving a brief statement followed by about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Thank you so much again. Let me please introduce Captain Frederick.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Captain Jamie Frederick with the 1st Coast Guard District, and I'll provide an update on our ongoing search efforts for the Titan submarine. Behind me, or beside me, I should say, you'll see several subject matter experts from the Unified Command who will introduce themselves momentarily. These individuals represent only a small fraction of the many dedicated professionals working around the clock on this complex response effort. We understand this is an extremely difficult time for the families of the missing crew members aboard the Titan, and our thoughts go out to them and the crew. The Unified Command team is working tirelessly to bring all available assets and expertise to bear as quickly as possible in response to this complex operation. And we remain in close contact with the family members and the crew to ensure they are fully aware of our current and future search efforts. Additionally, we have been in close contact with the British and French Consulates General to ensure that they are fully appraised of our efforts, and we are ensuring that their concerns are being addressed. We're incredibly grateful for the full spectrum of international assistance that has been provided, including an expert submariner from the Royal Navy, who's here with us serving aboard as a critical member of our team. Additionally, a team of highly trained French ROV operators departed St. John's last night are en route to aid the search. Moreover, our Canadian partners have been providing critical leadership and significant response capabilities since the beginning of our efforts. Again, this is an incredibly complex search operation requiring both surface and subsurface elements, and our unified approach is critical. The location of the search, 900 miles east of Cape Cod and 400 miles southeast of St. John's, makes it exceptionally difficult to mobilize large amounts of equipment quickly. In spite of those challenges, we've been able to provide continuous air and surface search assets, as well as additional ROV capability to search below the surface. We currently have 5 surface assets searching for the Titan, and we expect 10 total surface assets to search in the next 24 to 48 hours. There are 2 ROVs actively searching, and several more are en route and will arrive by tomorrow morning. We've received incredible support with aviation assets from our Coast Guard Air Station in Elizabeth City, the Air National Guard, and Canadian Armed Forces. Today there are 2 back-to-back P3 flights. One is ongoing now as I speak, totaling 14 hours of continuous on-scene coverage, and 2 C-130 flights, also one ongoing now, throughout the day and into the evening. Yesterday, a Canadian P3 detected underwater noises in the search area. As a result, ROV operations were relocated in an attempt to explore the origin of the noises. Although the ROV searches have yielded negative results, they continue. Additionally, the data from the P3 aircraft has been shared with our U.S. Navy experts for further analysis, which will be considered in future search plans. The surface search is now approximately 2 times the size of Connecticut, and the subsurface search is up to 2.5 miles deep, exponentially expanding the size of the search area. We also have to factor in the ever-changing weather conditions, currents, and sea states that expand the search area every hour. There's an enormous complexity associated with this case due to the location being so far offshore, and the coordination between multiple agencies and nations. We greatly appreciate the outpouring of support and offers to provide additional equipment. The Unified Command continues to prioritize assets and resources in order to provide the best capability in the most timely manner. This includes weighing multiple factors to identify the most effective resources available to the response operation. With careful consideration to timeliness of equipment arriving on scene, usefulness and ability to deliver assets to the search area. Over the past 48 hours, we have, through incredible unity of effort, mobilized and implemented a tremendous amount of expertise and response capability. In addition to the ships and aircraft previously mentioned, we've dispatched 2 subject matter experts from U.S. Navy NAVSEA SUPSALV, who will serve as search coordinators on scene for underwater search operations. So I've been stressing unity of effort a lot in this statement, and that's because it is absolutely critical to this complex operation. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the crew of the Titan and their loved ones. We will continue to work as hard and as quickly as possible in an effort to locate them. I will take a few questions, but before I do that, I do want I'm going to have each of the members of the team here just introduce themselves, and then I'll go ahead and take some questions.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Paul Hankins. I'm the Director for Salvage Operations with the U.S. Navy's Supervisor of Salvage.
Hello, I'm Carl Hartsfield from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Commander Rich Cantharia. I'm an exchange officer currently serving on the staff of Commander Submarines Atlantic at Norfolk, Virginia.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Commander Christy Butler, working closely with Captain Frederick from RCC Boston, Search and Rescue Mission Coordinator. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. So a couple things. One, I think when you're in the middle of a search and rescue case, you always have hope. That's why we're doing what we do. With respect to the noises specifically, we don't know what they are, to be frank with you. The P3 detected noises. That's why they're up there. That's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why they put sonar buoys in the water. The good news is, what I can tell you is we're searching in the area where the noises were detected, and we'll continue to do so. And we hope that when we're able to get additional ROVs, which will be there in the morning, the intent will be to continue to search in those areas where the noises were detected, and if they're continuing to be detected, and then put additional ROVs down in the last known position where the search was originally taking place.
Yeah, these noises were coming at regular 30-minute intervals as reported.
I hadn't heard 30-minute intervals. So here's what I can tell you. I am not a trained ear for underwater aquatics. That's why we have a team of experts that are analyzing that data. That data was sent immediately to the Navy last night, and it was analyzed overnight. They're still looking at it, but I can tell you that it's inconclusive. But again, I think the important piece is we're searching in the area where the noises were detected.
Captain, you didn't talk about a timeline. Can you talk about what timeline you're working on in conjunction with the teams that are there?
It's a timeline in what respect?
How much oxygen they have left on?
Oh, okay. Well, in terms of, so we talked about the oxygen number. I think you're all tracking the oxygen number. I think there's an important point with that, though. The oxygen, that's just one piece of data, right? There are a lot of pieces of data that we need to consider, and we're continuously looking at that, and we'll continuously do that throughout the search. But that's not the only thing that's important, right? And right now our efforts are solely focused on the search. That certainly is a dialogue that's happening, but we're focused in the middle of search and rescue, and we'll continue to put every available asset that we have in an effort to find the Titan and the crew members.
Captain, are those ROVs, and can you confirm that some sort of rectangular object has been spotted? There was some sort of report about that, I don't know.
So a couple things. So the ROVs, each ROV brings different capability. The ROVs that are diving today, Paul, what's the depth on the
4,000 meters.
4,000 meters. And some additional ROVs that'll be arriving tomorrow have additional depth capability. With respect to an object, so yesterday one of the aircraft did see an object. I will tell you this: in search and rescue missions, when aircraft are flying continuously, there is stuff out in the ocean that is floating. We went back, we looked at it. It wasn't. We didn't determine it to be debris. We don't think it correlates with the case, and it is not uncommon at all during an active search to see things, and then we go and look at them. So
Just part of the BBC News. When were these noises first heard? How long did they persist for? And if I could also ask, do you have any information in terms of food and water that then might have on board the site?
yeah, so so several P3 flights have heard noises as yesterday, and we put assets there. We relocated assets immediately. With respect to food and water, it's my understanding there are some limited rations. I can't tell you exactly how much they have aboard, but they do have some limited rations aboard the vessel.
Speaking to the families, how much hope can you give them after hearing those noises?
Listen, I think you need to be careful. We need to have hope, right? But I can't tell you what the noises are. But what I can tell you is, and I think this is the most important point, we're searching where the noises are, and that's all we can do at this point.
Captain, there's a clue right now about the status of the submersible and the noises. And are the noises continuing now? Are they stopped?
So I just wanted to. So it was my understanding that the P3 had heard some noises today as well. But so I do want to take just an opportunity to invite Carl to the podium just to talk a little bit about. He has a little bit more expertise in underwater acoustics, and maybe just to speak to that in general, because again, there are noises below the surface of the ocean, so I'll just turn it to Carl.
Carl, can you spell your name?
Yes, Carl Hartsfield. So again, Carl Hartsfield from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. So the ocean is a very complex place. Obviously, human sounds, nature sounds, and it's very difficult to discern what the source of those noises are at times, but I can tell you that this team has multiple sensors. They're in the area. They're sending data back expeditiously to the best in the world people to analyze that data, and then they're feeding the results of that analysis back to the unified team, and they're making decisions. So Woods Hole is here in an advisory role, but by our expertise, what I see is a very tight operational loop that's making decisions based on data, and nothing is ruled out. There have been multiple reports of noises, and every one of those noises is being analyzed, tracked, looked for patterns, and reported upon.
Can you describe what the noise? Can you describe what the noise sounds like that they're hearing?
Well, you know, the noises, again, very complex in the ocean. You have to be an acoustic analysis, and you have to have context. They're trying to put all the pieces together. The noises have been described as banging noises. But again, they have to put the whole picture together in context, and they have to eliminate potential man-made sources other than the Titan.
Is it possible that a ship in the ocean, or even some mammals out there could mimic that kind of sound?
So I can tell you from my experience with acoustics that there are sounds by biologics that sound man-made to the untrained ear, but I can assure you that the people listening to these tapes are trained. There are a lot of vessels in the area, and they each make noise, right? So all of that has to be eliminated, and it's analysis over time. Plus, as the captain said, the team is searching in the right area. So if you continue to do the analysis, look for different patterns, and search in the right area, you're doing the best you possibly can do with the best people on the case.
And Captain, apparently there was a deep ocean salvage system flyway that was sent there to the location. Can you tell if it's on site yet, and how it operates, and how long it would take to rescue it? Would that take?
Which system is he speaking about? You know the system. What's the system that you're talking about?
It's called a flyway deep ocean salvage system.
That's just a hydraulic.
Yeah, that's
a crane.
Yeah. So that's what I thought. So that's a piece of equipment. It's a crane piece of equipment. There are a lot of pieces of equipment flowing in through St. John's right now. One thing I did want to mention, I think it's important. Some of the ROV capability that's arriving soon is really great, incredible capability. One thing I want to point out is that French team that's coming in to serve aboard with their equipment aboard a French ship. They bring some state-of-the-art equipment, and so once they get on, we're going to have more assets down to look, and we'll continue to put them where we think the best location is.
But if you were the search area expanded, how many days pass? Are you still optimistic that you're gonna find them?
So how many days? Did you ask how many days? So well, so we have to remain optimistic and hopeful when you're in a search and rescue case. So we're right in the middle of the search and rescue case. So I don't want to get into a discussion about when that would end with respect to this case. What I will tell you, though, I'm happy to explain to you kind of how that process were to work. The Coast Guard prosecutes search and rescue cases on a daily basis, and sometimes we don't find what we're looking for, and you have to carefully consider all of the factors, and there are a lot of factors you consider. And then after you consider all of those factors, sometimes you're in a position where you have to make a tough decision. We're not there yet, but if we continue to search, potentially we could be at that point. But again, we're not there yet, and that's a discussion that we will have with the family long before I'm going to discuss that here publicly.
What does the rescue operation look like? What does the rescue operation look like?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Yeah, so I can't put a number on the I'm not going to put a percent. I don't have a percentage number. What I would tell you is that is just one data point, and there are more data points than that we have to look at. So right now we continue to search, and we'll have that later. Sure. So the report. So the noises were heard by a Canadian P3, and that was this morning and some yesterday. I don't know specifically or they're 30-minute intervals, but again, I really think the important point to that is we're in the air, we're searching there. We moved assets and we're searching there, and and we'll continue to do so.
If the submersible comes to the surface, and I don't know if you mentioned this yet, but is the vessel itself, what do you likelihood that it's actually still operable at this hour, the vessel itself?
Yeah, I don't. So, listen, whether it's operable or whether it's sitting on the ocean floor, whether it's in the sea column, whether it's in the surface, it's all speculation, and we're just not in the business of speculation. We're in the business of searching, and we're putting everything we can with the data we have to search for the vessel. And I think we'll take one more question. Go ahead, sorry. Yeah, so we asked for some additional subsurface support, and we got that through the Navy, through a liaison officer. He's just one of many team members, and we're greatly appreciative of the British government and all the support they've given us.
Can we expect a daily update now on this?
So I think the plan will be to do a daily like this. I'm not going to lock into that right now, but we'll keep you informed, and certainly if there's any major developments, we'll let you know. Thank you very much.
Really, did you say submarine? Sir, are you saying submarines are assisting?
Thank you so much for attending today's press briefing. That will
Royal
conclude
Navy
all
submarine
questions.
assisting? Whatever. He said subsurface, are you?
And that was the press conference here from the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm sure that could have gone on for considerably longer. And it really, as far as the news that we are getting here in this particular press conference this afternoon, you could argue that this is a mixed bag. There are some good things that have come out of this as far as the active search efforts, and then some things that are less than ideal. Let's begin there. We were talking extensively on stream earlier about the potential there for the banging noises that are coming from underwater, what has been described as a banging sound, to be coming in 30-minute intervals. They say that the 30-minute intervals, that they do not have concrete information that those sounds that are being heard are coming in 30-minute intervals, that it is inconclusive. And the reason why that is so incredibly important is because if they're coming in 30-minute intervals, it's very likely that it is coming from something that is generated by a person or by a crew. So without the 30-minute interval, look, that banging sound could be a lot of different things coming from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. The white object that was found floating by aerial teams, I never really thought that there was much there, only because they're going to investigate that. And there's floating debris all over the ocean, so they said that there is nothing there. They're actively searching right now with 2 ROVs in the area of where the Titanic wreckage is, and where, of course, the underwater sounds are coming from. The P-3 aircraft did hear noises today. That is also really big. There have been, quote unquote, multiple instances, multiple reports of noises coming in, but it's difficult for them to ascertain. They have underwater acoustic analysis has to be conducted for them to determine the origin of these sounds and whether or not it is coming from some other, vessels in the water. If it sounds like banging based on some acoustic analysis, that of course leads us in a direction to believe that maybe, just maybe, the 5-person crew is trying to communicate that they are alive at the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. But as of right now, they cannot definitively say that it is coming from the missing Titan sub. Also worth noting here as well, they are now searching an area 2 times the size of the state of Connecticut. That's roughly 15,000 square miles, 2.5 miles deep into the ocean. So they are examining an area that is way, way down into the Atlantic, towards the depths of where the Titanic wreckage is. And of course, more assets continue to arrive. A lot has been made about these French ROV operators that are going to be, we were talking about it earlier on stream, the French ROV operators that are going to be showing up. Some of the most equipped personnel, some of the more equipped teams that could perhaps help track down where the Titan sub is said to be arriving today or tonight, really. Of course, they are 1 hour ahead of us there as far as time zones go in the Atlantic. So that's where things stand right now as far as a very, very urgent situation. And again, less than 24 hours remain for that air supply under the estimations of what has been provided out to the media about what the Titan sub might be equipped to handle as far as extended time underwater. JB Buno here with the live across all platforms, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We're going to continue to talk about this story and try to get some of your questions answered. Again, we were hoping for some of those answers coming in today. One of the most common questions that have been asked in our live streams, perhaps the most common question that we get, is whether or not they have food rations. And they did describe that they do have rationed food for some period of time. Exactly how long those food rations would last underwater, how much food they actually have on the vessel. Look, that is difficult to say and was not indicated during this press conference, but it does sound as if they have, in theory, what they would need to survive even in the harsh conditions of the deep Atlantic. I'm talking about an air supply that would, in theory, run out at some point tomorrow. Food rations, drinking water, these are things that we are assuming that they do have on board the vessel. And really the big question now is whether or not we can find the origin of these banging sounds, or what has been described and analyzed to be banging sounds, so that we can get closer to the actual place where they're coming from, and perhaps find out whether or not once and for all they are coming from the missing Titan sub. What we are going to do is answer as many questions as we can out of the Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment section. We're here in the WFLA Now Stream Center. We're here to interactively answer your questions. We'll be having, hopefully, guests come into the WFLA Now Stream Center to be part of our interactive discussion and our interactive reporting here. But for now, what I really want to do is hone in on some of the biggest remaining questions that you have. Right now on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, what is a question that was not answered in this press conference that you would have asked if you were a reporter at the scene? What are some of the things that we need to be looking into? Of course, we know that there's going to be so much unknown surrounding this story. We know that so many questions are going to be impossible to answer, but it provides us with, now that we now have this press conference in the rearview mirror, it provides us with additional information to launch the next round of fact-finding. What is next for us to find out as we try to get closer to the end point of this mystery? What happened to the missing Titan sub as part of OceanGate expeditions? This is an interesting question. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, Different Sea wants to know, #KJB, how cold is it in the sub? We have heard that water temperatures can range somewhere in the high 20s to early or low 30s Fahrenheit. Think about how cold that is. You're surrounded by that oceanic cold. And so really how cold it would be inside is difficult to say, because they've been down there for such an extended period of time, and we don't know exactly what kind of online systems they have, what kind of powered systems that they have right now to provide, in essence, climate control, in essence, to provide heat in the face of being in one of the coldest places in the world, or I say one of the coldest places, I mean at least the depths of our ocean. So it's hard to say exactly how cold it is, but yes, this is an important question, because if you are exposed to harsh elements like that, harsh cold for a long period of time, medical conditions can arise and complicate matters further. We were talking about it on stream earlier. This is all about keeping everybody physically well, and well enough that they can remain calm to conserve oxygen. The air supply is limited, and it's all about making sure that you keep your heart rate down, make sure that you do not get overly anxious or panic. So it might sound impossible. If I was down there, I'd be panicking. But hopefully someone would coach me, someone who's an expert and who has done underwater exploration for a long time would coach me into try to get my heart rate down, try to not breathe more air than you have to, and do everything you can to try to conserve oxygen over the course of a very, very challenging, extremely challenging experience. Riley, we're trying to stay optimistic on stream, but could the sub have crumpled under the weight of oceanic pressure? Absolutely. That is absolutely a possibility. But all the teams right now are working under the assumption that the crew is alive and something went wrong over the course of their descent downwards, and that this right now is a search and rescue, not vessel recovery or not debris recovery, that this is all about search and rescue right now for the teams that are working in the North Atlantic and beyond. We have teams that, as far as acoustic analysis that is being conducted on those banging sounds, that might be taking place, here in the continental U.S. or in the U.K. or in Canada. That could be taking place, those audio files of what that sounds like, what has been described as a banging, what that sounds like, that could be analyzed off-site. So tracking down the origin of those sounds right now is critically important, but also, too, not putting all your stock in one location. If those sounds are not from the missing Titan sub and it is from a different source, if you have everyone looking in one spot, and the missing Titan sub crew are in a different location, we're obviously the search is going to be unsuccessful. So it's important that they don't divert all of their assets to that one location, even though it seems to be the best lead so far. Windsor raised, #HeyJB, why is it taking them so long to locate the sound? First and foremost, P3 aircraft are picking up the sounds. Aircraft are hearing these, are picking up the underwater acoustics. So as far as locating the origin of that sound, I don't know if people can possibly understand without seeing it maybe on a map. And maybe we have to load a map in here to make this more visual for people. The size of the search area and the depth of the search area is utterly enormous. I mean, enormous. Think about like multiple. Think about stacking Empire State Buildings, okay, all along two multiple Empire State Buildings, okay, stacking them on top of one another and side by side in like a checkerboard format across two states of Connecticut, and then dealing with the harsh underwater conditions of the North Atlantic, dealing with the current and weather conditions there as well. This is challenging. I mean, utterly, extremely challenging for these crews. They have mentioned it time and time again, and this is the Coast Guard. This is the U.S. Navy and private entities that work on the water, saying that these are challenging conditions. So we have to remember that it's not as simple as find my friends and okay, where's my grandma located? Oh, okay, so they're pinging over at the local grocery store. Oh, that's what. No, this is nothing like that. They are trying to track a sound in a vast area of the ocean. It's difficult. I'm not even anywhere close to being an expert in the field, and I understand the complex, or at least some degree of the complexities that exist out there. What was their last known location? Descending down to the Titanic. Wise Rap asking this question. An hour and 45 minutes down is when they lost contact. That's approximately 2/3 of the way down. People were asking earlier on stream, could they have gotten down to the Titanic early and something had happened once they reached the wreckage? And experts have said you don't just get there faster. It's 2.5 hours down, and something went wrong communication wise around 1 hour and 45 minutes in, roughly. Rain Man, #HeyJB, don't they know the path this sub normally takes? Sure. Look, if you're going from point A to point B, for the most part, you are going to try to get there as quickly as for resources. You're trying to get down to the depths of the ocean as quickly as possible. You're going to try to go directly down from the surface, and you're going to try to make it all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, to the Titanic wreckage. You're not going to deviate very much. But at the same time, if there's a power failure, if if they, for some reason, establish neutral buoyancy, or if they continue their an uncontrolled descent or ascent, the current is only, Mother Nature, the current is only going to do what it would do. It's going to take them off course. So there is a tremendous science to figuring out underwater current. And if they did stop in that moment, an hour and 45 minutes down, which direction would they have gone on Sunday, provided that all of a sudden they lost the ability to navigate or descend or ascend. Now, we've been talking extensively about the dead man switch, or the ability to trigger a mechanism that would enable flotation to carry them up to the surface. But as time goes on, that is less likely of a scenario because this happened on Sunday. If they aborted on Sunday, or if something went wrong on Sunday and they triggered it on Sunday, the day is Wednesday. We're 4 days later now. So that ascent up towards the surface, likely, in all likelihood, would have been completed. But is there a chance that they're still slowly floating up? I'm sure that there is. Experts have not ruled that out. But right now, I believe that search and rescue crews are assuming they have to begin by assuming the worst. And the worst is that they are immobile down there, that they do not have the power to ascend or descend, and that they're stuck and need rescue. So again, Dallin says, #KJB, it could have gotten tangled in the Titanic and is stuck in the Titanic. That is somewhat unlikely given what we know about this story so far, because they lost comms on the way down. And it is not believed that they made it all the way down. Now, if they did make it all the way down, you're not supposed to get, extraordinarily close. You're supposed to very carefully navigate around the shipwreck and not interact with it in any way other than shooting video of it and shining a light on it. But for the most part, really. But people who are assuming that it's stuck on the Titanic, that is not believed to be a very likely scenario based on what experts have said. Dina wants to know, does the sub have a tracker? Not one that is active enough to be pinged and located. Yeah, big question from Melvin, and I see 3 comments here back to back to back with #HJB. People asking, look, how much time is left? And if you believe the raw estimate of 40 to 41 hours, that puts us at approximately 16 to 17 hours left. That puts us at 5 a.m. tomorrow. It is a frantic race against the clock right now. And those French crews, the ROV operators, the additional assets that are still to arrive, let's hold out hope that they get there in the nick of time and pull off a miracle. There are multiple challenges. Let's go through these challenges right now. In addition to all the, the harsh conditions, one, you have to locate them, and then you have to pull them up. Now, the pulling up process can be done in a matter of hours, a few hours, as we understand it. But getting everything into position, locating them, getting everything into position, it can take a while. So this is why conserving air for the crew, if alive, is so important. They are doing everything that they can to, you would hope, to conserve air while down there and extend the clock, because help is on the way. It's just a matter of if they're going to have the time necessary to make the rescue of a lifetime. And it sounds like a question that sounds far-fetched, but no, it's not. Yes, they do have a bathroom area on one of the ends. They have a privacy curtain, but it might look, based on experts who have talked about this on various network news outlets, it might be getting really extremely challenging from just a human conditions standpoint down there right now. There could be vomiting from levels of anxiety and fear and panic settling in. There could be significant, harsh conditions on the body as far as just the cold down there. There could be a huddling together for heat. There's several just challenges for as far as the physical toll on the body, and also too all of them being confined to a very tight space. To my understanding, the Stream Center is bigger than the Titan sub. This room is bigger, and it is the size of roughly something a common comparison that's been made on social media is the interior of a minivan. So you might be able to fit multiple Titan subs in this space alone. We're talking about a very difficult, very, very difficult and confined space. Go to some other comments here. Let's check in with our audience. I see we've got Anthony, Steve, Ty, Steven on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live saying, wow, they're coming in so quickly, even in slow mode, that it's difficult to get to them all. We do hopefully have guests on the way, folks. So Team Sohan, yes, there is a food and water. Of course, they do have rationed food and water that they bring on board. And you would imagine that you are trying to eat as little as possible to not just to conserve food and water, but also to have to avoid using the facilities. Let's see here. Gray. Hashtag AJB. Do we have contact with the crew? No contact. And by crew, I think you mean the crew on board the Titan sub. We don't have contact with the 5-person crew on the Titan sub. No one does. We have no idea if they are alive or otherwise. I mean, we are, of course, trying to stay as optimistic as possible. You heard Captain Frederick talk about how important hope is, and we've been trying to communicate that here on our live streams, remaining optimistic. But we do not know the current status of the crew. We have no contact with them. As far as the crew at the surface, it is all hands on deck right now as far as finding the origin of the sounds and trying to find the missing Titan sub. And some information has come out from the search crews as referencing that internal government memo that was put out saying that banging sounds have been heard. Let me also point this out to our audience. This might be your first time back on stream since our press conference yesterday. It was 3:00 yesterday. Josh Benson and I were on stream together, and we paused and muted microphones because an individual, one of our workers here, one of our reporters here at WFLA, walked in to inform us of something that was coming into our newsroom, that a source had informed us that banging sounds were heard. We could not. We have a very strict procedure as far as reporting news. We had to vet that source and vet that information before we could report it. The person said that a memo is going around saying that banging sounds have been heard, and we were actively working to confirm that information before reporting it on stream. We were able to confirm it way later in the overnight hours, and then of course it broke overnight that banging sounds had been heard, but that was the information that we got in at 3:00 yesterday that we could not share because, of course, of our very, very we have a high standard here as far as releasing information. We want to be, of course, the most credible news outlet that we can be, and we are only going to report news when we have put it through all of the paces, making sure it reaches the necessary criteria for us to share on stream. And at the time when it originally came in yesterday around 3:00, we were not satisfied yet. took some hours for us to reach that point. Looking here at some of the comments coming in. Again, if you use hashtag HeyJB, it's a signal to us in the Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment section that you want your comment to be featured on screen. If you don't use the hashtag, you can just continue to comment back and forth with your fellow commenters, your fellow viewers here on WFLA Now. Looking here. Chelsea, how is the vessel opened from the outside? The sub is open from the outside. So people have been asking, let's say they're in a hypothetical situation. If they're floating up to the surface, they're 100 feet, 200 feet beneath the surface, roughly, and they had run out of air at that point, and their ascent had stalled. Their ascent up to the surface had stalled. Could they open it and swim up to the surface? The answer is no. Based on our understanding of the vessel, you can only open it from the outside. There is no emergency mechanism to open it from the inside. That's based on, again, the various experts that know this vessel best who have indicated that repeatedly. It has to be opened by the crew. And that's why reuniting the crew, the Titan sub crew, with the Polar Prince or, the necessary teams that would get them out is really important once they get up to the surface in that scenario. A scenario that I continue to pray for. Looking here, and some of the comments are just completely in left field is the nicest way I can put it. And so not going to be entertaining any comments right now that are attempting to these comments are coming in so fast. I go to click on them, and I miss the comment with my mouse because I wish you guys could see it from the stream center. We have a very active audience right now trying to participate, but I didn't intend to click on this comment. But now, Smith, while you're up, assuming they locate the vessel, does our Navy even have the capability or time to extract them out of the water in time? There are vessels with the necessary tons of equipment that are arriving. A lot has been pointed to the French teams that are arriving that, yes, in theory, would have the ability, if they locate the sub, if they got down a cable, they could lift it out of the depths of the ocean and with enough time. Based on the current timeline, if everything goes right, there is a scenario where the French crews get there, they locate the Titan sub, they get a cable down, they are able to hoist it. That's to our understanding based on Jeff Patterson's reporting from earlier on our live stream, and they can hoist it up from the depths with maybe there is a 4-hour cushion that we have there with about 4 hours to spare. They could, in theory, if everything goes right, if they found the sub tonight, and the French team arrived, and they got the crane, the cable down, and they were able to then begin the extraction process from way down the depths of the ocean, maybe 2,800 meters down. What would happen is they would have enough. They would probably be able to get up somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 a.m. But again, that's provided that they find the sub. They haven't found it yet. There's so much unknown. And so that's why step 1, search, step 2, recovery. That's where things stand at the moment. The comment that I was attempting to click on, David Pogue has done some media appearances. People were asking, could we get him on stream? David, this is an open invitation. For you to join our stream. I might try to reach out to you on social media after the stream, or if somebody wants to try to do it on my behalf, or text or tweet at David Pogue. David, it'd be an honor to have you on stream. I hold you in such incredibly high esteem as far as, look, when I was a young reporter, even before I became officially a reporter, David Pogue was somebody who I admired and continue to admire this day, as far as the work that he does as a storyteller. To me, is a inspiration. So, David, you, if anybody else wants to reach out to David Pogue on Twitter, I'm unable to do so. I'm actively, anchoring, directing, producing this live stream right now, and making sure that this is interactively, content that people want to be a part of. I can't do that here presently, but David, you are more than invited at any time to come on stream with us. And somebody was asking, I think it was one or two people asking, can we get David Pogue on stream? And I would love that. I would love to hear. He went on this journey, so that would be a very an excellent interview. Okay, did I get it? Yes. Okay, Maria, #KJB, have they contacted the crew's family members? Of course, family members are in the know. Family members are going to be part of the communication. But if it's unknown what kind of information those family members are getting. We know that Hamish Harding's family has put out, or at least through Hamish Harding's company, they have put out a statement. They're asking for privacy at this time. So what kind of information they're receiving? Look, you would imagine that if they're not getting information from the Coast Guard, the Canadian government, the French government, or the the government of the United Kingdom, then they're at least getting information, some form of updates from OceanGate, who are very actively involved as far as the current search efforts. So, but what that information and how they're being updated, how frequent those updates are, and how much more it is that we don't know as far as the public goes, we can't say for sure. It's unfortunate that I have to bring this up on stream. Let me remind our audience about how our live streams function in this one capacity, Eric. Okay, our live streams have a way of finding people that are very close to the stories that we cover. Very close. Sometimes people that are directly involved. And so I am very much aware that with our live stream reaching the audience that it has right now on social media, across multiple platforms, I am very well aware that there is a chance that somebody who knows somebody on board the Titan sub is in our comment section right now, or at least watching. And allow me to say first, my thoughts and prayers are with you, your families, your loved ones, if you are watching in our comment section. But also at the same time, I ask that our audience be respectful. Our YouTube moderators have done a great job encouraging a level of respect for a very, very dire situation right now. And we are trying to keep our hopes high and remain optimistic and hope that these 5 individuals are rescued. And we are doing everything that we can to stay positive and encourage positivity and optimism and confidence in our comment section. But some of the comments that I have seen over the last 45 minutes are extremely concerning. And we ask that you at the very least be respectful. If you're not going to express optimism, you're absolutely entitled to express some pessimism, some doubt, some fear that this is not going to end the way that it should. However, do so in a way that is respectful to the very, the good chance that somebody who knows one of these 5 people is watching right now and perhaps reading the same scrolling comments that I am right now. Please have a level of respect for those people and for your fellow audience members. Thank you. Back to some of the questions and comments that we have that are coming in that are on topic and help us carry the conversation forward. And I'll tell you, I'm going to have to, let's see here. Samuel Young, #AJB. Are there procedures on how to extract the vessel should it be within the Titanic wreckage? Would there be added procedures, or could the rescue team damage the Titanic wreckage to retrieve? the chances of, as we understand it from the experts who have been speaking to our reporters, to reporters with our affiliated stations and beyond, various experts have been, many of them have been interviewed extensively over the course of the last 3 days. And the chances of this vessel being within the Titanic wreckage is extremely low, very low, as far as it being in it. So the idea that a cable would be dropped and they would attach it into the, or have to weave it into the Titanic and pull it out and try to not damage the shipwreck further. Nothing is more valuable than human life, and they're going to do everything that they can, of course, to extract the Titan sub from the depths of the ocean and do so safely for those on board, and in an effort to rescue them and save their lives. However, to answer your question, are there procedures? I think that we are very much, Sam, in uncharted territory. I don't know if there's a textbook on this, on how to retrieve a private organization's submersible from inside of a shipwreck. I don't know if that's a book you can check out at the library. I could be wrong. And perhaps in the various departments of our great governmental agencies that do, underwater excavation, maybe there is something about how to extract, how to do an extraction from within a shipwreck. But look, if that procedure does exist, that is highly valuable in the event that that's the scenario we find ourselves in. But one more time, the chances of the Ocean Gate vessel being within the wreckage of the Titanic are so unbelievably low that it's not. There's so many other prevailing possibilities that experts say are likely to be the real outcome of what happened to this sub. Hey, how you doing? No, I'm on. Oh, stand by. Talking about some of the marine traffic in the area, and apparently we have access to some of the geolocation websites that provide us with a map view of the vessels that are arriving at that area, and it's impressive. The amount of vessels that are currently heading in that direction is significant and noteworthy, and that's what our team is telling me here. So help is on the way. We got to get to a point where we locate the sub and the 5 people aboard. Help is on the way. Let's go through the notes again. 2 ROVs in the water, 5 surface assets, more on the way, 2 ROVs, more on the way, P3 flights in the air, underwater noises coming and being detected by those P3 flights. The search area 2 times the size of the state of Connecticut, 2.5 miles deep. The 30-minute interval report that was out is said to be inconclusive. They can't say for sure whether or not the underwater sounds that they are hearing are coming in those 30-minute intervals. The white object that was found at the surface is not said to be anything of note. It is not believed to be connected to the search. And an active search right now is taking place in the area where these sounds are coming from. Hold on, I have another visitor. Back here with you live, folks. Shout out to Jim, who helps me out. Great photojournalist here at WFLA. I want to show you this. I'm going to show you my computer screen because we're going to, this is, hey, marinetraffic.com. This is a full shout out and full credit to you guys and the work that you do as far as providing geolocation for marine traffic. Let's show this to our audience here. This is my computer screen now. What we are going to do is show you the area of the Titanic. Jim, come around here for a second and kind of show me what some of the observations that you were making. Oh, there. Okay, so
Bottom area right there. That's the location.
all right, so this is the believed to be the area of the Titanic wreckage site. There's Polar Prince. Position received 3 minutes ago. I hope everybody can see that. It's kind of small. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Can I increase the size of the text? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so position received 5 minutes ago. Polar Prince. Again, full credit to marinetraffic.com. Polar Prince, Titanic wreck site. There you see it on your screen. Okay, so this blue one here we will show you now. And if you click, is that the one? Yeah, you click on it, and you can see that this is a French research and survey vessel that is currently on the way. We also have a lot of these boats that are heading in the right direction. Right there. You can see that there is a lot of, here's an anchor handling vessel, Terry Fox, Canadian vessel that is heading in that direction as well. And they're all coming out of, St. John's. Here's St. John's, folks, 400 miles away from the Titanic wreckage site. So there is considerable marine traffic that is heading now down in this direction, again, to the, which one was it? It's this one? Nope. This one, Polar Prince. Okay, so the Polar Prince is within a few miles of the actual Titanic wreck site. So hopefully this provides some perspective. I'm very curious to though, and maybe we'll ask our teams to find this out, if this is the French team that has received a lot of attention as far as having the necessary equipment to really expand this search into new territory and to do a lot more of underwater work that we previously were Well, look, it will. The French team apparently will significantly help out here. That's what we have been told repeatedly, both in press conferences and in various interviews as well. So there's a bit. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate it. Jim has been keeping a very close eye on this as well. So back here, we'll put away my computer screen. And we're back here live to answer as many questions as we can. Did that make sense, people? Hopefully we get now a more of a map view of some of the marine traffic that is out there. So let's go back to here. I'll filter hashtag HeyJB and look for some of your comments that are coming in. KXNG, hashtag HeyJB, even if they locate the sub, will there still be enough oxygen or time left for them to get to the surface, or are there procedures in place to get them a refill of oxygen as well as some supplies? This is a really great question. That second half is an excellent question, but everything that I have heard from the experts makes it sound as if getting them to the surface would be the course of action. That bringing air down, or I understand what you're saying. Like when an aircraft is in the air with the U.S. Air Force and they need to refuel without landing, there is refueling that goes on because there is an aircraft that will pull alongside it in the air, connect to it, and disperse fuel so that the aircraft can stay in the air. The idea here that I haven't really ever thought about, and this is a great question, could another submersible down there with ample oxygen supply link up and give oxygen to the Titan? I have not heard that scenario being possible, nor is the engineering feat that you describe or the one that we are talking about here said to be possible. I haven't heard anything. You can hashtag HeyJB me on Twitter, and I will do my very best. We're going to move to Twitter in a minute, by the way, and just take hashtag HeyJB from Twitter. I have alienated and not included that audience for far too long. It's been a lot of YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, and somebody can comment back at me if that's even from an engineering standpoint, if that is at all possible. It's a fascinating concept. An underwater vessel in distress needs oxygen, needs supplies but the journey up would be a few hours. So I get what you're saying. If you got there in the nick of time, they had 15 minutes of air left, could you provide them with air down there? It is a very up here kind of question as far as thinking beyond the normal scope of questions that we normally field on this live stream. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I could be wrong. Let's go to hashtag HeyJB exclusively on Twitter for the next 20 or so minutes as we await an update. Let me explain how our live streaming function works now. The press conference is over. So what's next? We're waiting on updates and waiting on reports. And our newsroom right now in this direction here in the Stream Center actively working right now on leads. Today, we have multiple reporters that are working this story, trying to find out the very latest. So if an update comes in that we can report, they fly in here in the Stream Center, they sit down and they say, JB, this is what I've got. But right now, it is quiet as we all await updates. And again, we had the source inform us yesterday on stream that banging sounds were heard. We just weren't satisfied with the level of vetting that was necessary to report that information, so we didn't report it at the time. We waited to vet it, and then, of course, it came out in the hours, the later overnight hours last night. So right now, we're staying here with you on stream to provide you with some coverage, and also, too, perhaps this live stream is able to provide some comfort. There are some people who we know from handling missing persons cases so much, some people that just want a place to go and feel a sense of community and feel that they can be heard as far as the news station that they follow, and also to be with others that feel as they do. And so we're hopeful that we can provide our comment section to be a destination of hope and optimism and a place of comfort for you as we deal with, again, a very terrifying situation with the potential loss of 5 people aboard the missing Ocean Gate Titan submersible. We're moving over to Twitter, and we're just going to take hashtag HeyJB on Twitter for a while. I like to usually sprinkle those tweets in over the course of the stream. However, it's hard. It's hard to do so and juggle all the other platforms at once. There's no control room here. I'm all by myself when it comes to punching these streams. Oh, this is interesting. See if we can get this in from Ryan Ford. Yeah, I would love to get an expert on stream. Can the ROV simply attach a lift bag and float them to the surface? No cranes or lines needed. Would that cause the bends? Yeah, like, having too much bad air in your blood. Oh wow, the tweet didn't really. It was really big because of the picture. But you get an idea here from Ryan with the picture. Could just air, a lift bag, float them to the surface? How big would that have to be? Probably really big. And getting a bag of air down to the depths of the ocean to provide the lift necessary to lift out the Titan sub. I don't know if we're talking just purely physics, I don't know if that's possible. Think about when you have a like something that contains air, like a balloon or a beach ball. Think about a beach ball in a pool. Okay, what happens when you, or a floaty? What happens when you try to take that beach ball or that floaty in the pool and you try to push it underneath the surface? You feel pressure because the air is trying to rise up to the surface. And the more that you try to push the beach ball or the floaty down in the pool, the more difficult it is to keep it down. That's the basic physics understanding. Dr. Emmett, my I don't know if it was Dr. Emmett, but my physics teacher in high school would probably be shaking his head right now because I don't know if that's the best explanation, but I'm trying to do a comparison for you that pushing a tremendous amount of air downward like that would be necessary for a lift bag. Now, could you inflate a lift bag from the bottom? Could a air hose come down and then inflate a lift bag from the bottom of the ocean? Again, I'm not a physics expert. I don't think I got a B or an A in physics. I think physics to me was very difficult for me in high school. I was better at other subjects like math and history. Physics was a weak. Physics and chemistry just were hard for me. And so I'm trying to do the best that I can to describe that. But I don't think that is from a physics. I think, let's put it this way. I think that it's more from an engineering standpoint, from an oceanic excavation standpoint, I believe that it would be more feasible to have a mechanized lift from the surface, a lift from a crane, a spool, a cable miles long. All right, back to, I appreciate the comment there, Ryan. Sorry your name didn't get there on screen. Can I clear that? Yeah, I can. All right, back to Twitter. And hashtag Hey JB. Caleb says, did you see Deep Energy heading over? Yeah, I wonder where they are on that map. Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. There it is. I wonder if we could find them on the map there, Caleb. Ooh, somebody, Nerdy Addict, shout out, put it out on his Twitter earlier today. Let's see if we can find it. Where is the Deep Energy vessel? Hold on, I'm looking. Where are, oh my God. Maybe, can I just search it? Deep Energy. Yeah, here it is. I think that this is it. I want to see it on a map. Latest position. All right. Aha. We have found it. Hit this button and this button. And now you can see my computer screen. That is the Deep Energy vessel. And it looks like it's still a ways away. We're trying to get here, roughly. Near left to the N in North Atlantic Ocean. Trying to get here. Roughly, this area. And so it seems, if I have the right vessel, that appears to be a long ways off. That's the only Deep Energy vessel that I have, according to marinetraffic.com. But interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's go back to Twitter and check in with Hey JB. I've been looking. Yeah, on that one, I've been looking. I can't say. Luke, I don't think that that's a priority at the moment. As far as what happens to the vessel afterwards, I mean, investigated. I'll bring that up on screen. Just because we're talking about it now, and I was reading it, and Luke wants to know what will happen to the sub after it's been lifted out. Investigated. Down to the slightest detail. And look, the hope is that they find it. You got to find it first. We hope it's found in the next 24 hours or less. We hope it's found in the next 14 hours. We hope it's found in the next 14 minutes, to tell you the truth. But what will happen afterwards? Looking into the future, crew is the top priority. But yes, they're going to investigate it thoroughly to figure out what went wrong. What went wrong? Clear that out. We'll look at some more. Queen Shy, I'm just going to bring up your tweet and I'm just going to let it breathe. on stream, because I see this so often that why didn't they have any of these things on standby for any what ifs? The contingencies, the emergency scenarios, the procedures, the backups are all going to be thoroughly examined in the future. We're not there yet. We're not at that stage yet. It is still an active search and recovery. But also, people are asking online. I am not a reporter who is ever going to ignore a narrative online if it pertains to the subject matter. And look, while most news organizations are going to spend all of their time completely focused on the search and recovery efforts, I get that. But we're here commercial-free on live stream for hours, and I am not going to ignore a certain narrative online just because it doesn't focus on the current search and the search and rescue operation. People are asking this question as to what the emergency plan looked like, and what would happen if they lost contact with the sub. What happens? Who's the next line of defense? Who is on standby? Who's the 911 call? What happens? Where is it documented? People are asking that question. And I just want it to be stated that I see that on social media. And it's not really a conversation for a thorough conversation for now, but it is a conversation that is just without question going to be had in the future. Yeah, look, I understand that people are tweeting at me about banging sounds on Twitter. I'm not saying it isn't it. I'm not saying it is it. We have a process. We have a process. I'm not going to just start playing random sounds, random tweets off the internet. A recipe for complete and utter disaster. So ask yourself, when you listen to an audio recording on Twitter, ask yourself, where's this coming from? How much do I trust the origin of this? Don't be fooled, folks. Don't be fooled. And I'm not, look, could be real. Could leak. Those audio recordings of this sound that might resemble banging could leak. No doubt. But the respectable news organizations, the credible ones, are going to go through their procedure to vet the information, vet the source material before reporting it. This is how we remain, we preserve our credibility as a news organization. Folks, I've been informed that a Canadian presser is about to begin. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But to our audience joining us on WFLA Now, we have been informed that a press conference is moments away. We'll hit this touch screen here in the Stream Center and show you that we've been told is the site and the location on the Canadian coast where a press conference is about to begin. I have not been given any details as of yet, on to which, is it the Canadian government or a private organization? Let's bring up audio. Let's see what's audio is coming through, but it is very slight. So slight that you can't hear anything. It's probably just people walking around. Hello there. Hi. Thank you. Appreciate it. Talking to this Canadian, or I'm assuming he's Canadian, photojournalist who is wiping the lens. I do check my emails. People are emailing me too, and I appreciate that. HeyJB@WFLA.com is the email. YouTube mods maybe help out. HeyJB@WFLA.com. And, I just got an email from a person who, and let me revisit the idea of inflating something underneath the surface of the water. The depth that we are talking about, the immense pressure. I was trying to articulate that, and I don't think I did a great job, and I think my physics professor from high school would be very disappointed in me, because comparing it to a floaty or a beach ball in a pool only begins to scratch the surface of the immense pressure that would exist with air at that depth. So the idea of, again, inflating a balloon. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to feature your comments. I'm here. Some of these crazy ideas, they say, I am a big believer in that necessity is the mother of invention. That's a favorite quote of mine. And when you have a need for something, human ingenuity will spark invention. But at the same time, we are dealing with incredibly just the depth that we are talking about here cannot be fully understood unless you really do work in this field. And that has been, Malind is the person on our, by email that has communicated that to me. And so thank you this is the checks and balances of interactive live streaming. You guys can always tell me if I'm doing a good job or a bad job or a really bad job. Hopefully it's not the latter, but, I do my very best to field your comments, have a conversation, explain what is possible, impossible, in a gray area between the two, and this is what interactive journalism is all about. It's not a perfect science. It is still evolving, but so, all right, back to Twitter. No, not back to Twitter. Let's keep this up. I'll continue to answer your questions, but I am getting a word now in from our team about, here it is. What is this? Horizon Newser. Okay. Let's find out more details about this.
So I should be on left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excellent. Great.
So Horizon Maritime apparently is going to be part of this press conference, to my understanding, if I'm reading this report right. But we'll find out. We'll find out with more certainty here in a little bit. I have not been given a start time. 2:30 is right around the corner. So we will do our very best at finding out more information about this. But I have it confirmed. This is a press conference from Canadian soil about the missing Titan sub. We'll find out more, and we'll keep this up here on the right side of your screen. All right, back to Twitter in the meantime. Twitter. Hashtag HeyJB. Enter. And let's see what we got coming in. Thank you, Luke. I know at least that I'm not doing a very bad job. Yeah. If this is just some science, a quick look up here by Captain Rookhook. What a name. Please monitor website for details of upcoming live events. Live Choice 2, the Associated Press is providing this feed. A thank you to them. Again, I am a huge fan of the AP, huge fan of the Associated Press and what they do for news organizations across the country. Captain Rookhook, hashtag HeyJB. I just looked it up. 25,000 PSI at 2 miles down. That is insane. That is pressure per square inch, folks. And that number isn't going to mean much to the average person, but for someone who dives, 25,000 psi is obviously very much mind blowing. Trying to get an idea, like, is there a comparison for that? I mean, oh, and I think it's pound force per square inch. I think it's always assumed that it's pressure per square inch, but yeah, it's considerable pressure. Back to Twitter and back to some of the comments coming in. We'll go to this comment from Kyra. Hi, Kyra, joining us on Twitter. Hashtag HeyJB, hashtag Titanic Rescue, keyword rescue. I like the optimism there. I know if they get out, but can you imagine the PTSD these people will have after the fact, sending prayers? We talked about this a little bit on stream yesterday. This would be how mentally taxing this would be on somebody for the rest of their lives. I'm really thinking about the 19-year-old son, Suleiman. Really trying to think about him. He's still experiencing being an adult at that age. You know, I still don't feel like an adult sometimes, but I didn't really feel I had arrived at adulthood until my 20s. He's 19 years old. He's not old enough to drink in this country. Barely old enough to vote in this country. And so he's Pakistani, so I'm using a reference point here from the United States as far as how we view age. And but yeah, the PTSD, the amount of therapy that would be needed. But better that than losing your life. You'd rather be alive with PTSD and be able to enjoy the rest of your life, and of course you would experience tremendous hardship, I am sure, from symptoms of PTSD. But at least you would have your life, and that's really important to remember here. All right, back to Twitter. Refresh. Wow, this is an interesting question. Bring this up from, is it mbug? All right, here it is. Hashtag HeyJB. If found, how dangerous is it to bring it to the surface? Could it implode on rescuers, or could they cause it to implode? Thank you for all you do. I think that there would be some depressurizing that would likely there would be consideration given for obviously the occupants, the passengers, the crew members inside of the sub. I don't know if it can, if a great question, if whether or not how dangerous the ascension is, the pulling it from the depths, if they were able to do so from a pressure standpoint. I'm not, I don't want them, I have an idea, but I don't want, I'm not an expert on the subject. So I can't say for certain. And whether or not there would have to be certain maneuvers or certain mechanisms or certain things that you would have to do to maintain the correct level of pressure for the Titan sub as it made its ascent upwards. An interesting question. I'm not sure, but this one I promise I will look into off stream. Or if there's somebody who is an expert in the field and can provide me with not just an answer, but an answer with a source or an answer with attribution, that would be very helpful as well. Still waiting, by the way. The feed is down. They're not going. They're likely conserving battery from the Canadian coast to ensure that when the press conference does begin, they are able to feed. You don't want to be feeding all the way and then the press conference starts 25 minutes late and then the battery dies. So they're likely showing us this slate right now for the event of in the event of a power complication. People telling me that the 25,000 psi is wrong. I believe you. I am not an expert in that field, so apologies if 25,000 psi is inaccurate. This is a science that I understand at a very surface level from having been the diver. Here's what we have. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. My name is Sean Lee. I'm co-founder and chairman of Horizon Maritime Services and a director of Miabokek Horizon Maritime Services. With me today is Chief Meisel Joe, the Sagamaw and chief of the Miabokek First Nation. We are partners in the joint venture that owns the Polar Prince. The Polar Prince is the support vessel for the Ocean Gate expedition and is on scene in supporting the rescue mission as directed by the U.S. Coast Guard and Ocean Gate. Today is National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada. Chief Joe, we acknowledge this day for you, the Miabokek First Nation, and all First Peoples in Newfoundland and Labrador and in Canada. On behalf of myself, Chief Joe, and everyone at Miabokek Horizon Maritime Services and Horizon Maritime, I want to say first that our thoughts and focus remain with the crew of the Titan and their families. We wish to thank everyone involved in this rescue mission, especially the U.S. and Canadian Coast Guards, the organizations that have made their marine assets available, including the French government, Technip FMC, Atlantic Towing, DOF, the many private companies who have dropped everything at a moment's notice and without hesitation, and the various crews who are dedicated to bringing the search and rescue mission to a successful conclusion. In addition to the Polar Prince, we have also mobilized the Horizon Arctic to add vessel support for this mission. We acknowledge and thank our client, ExxonMobil, who has without question given the vessel the time and space needed to respond to this incident. We also thank Premier Andrew Furey for his continuous offers of support from the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. The marine industry in this region is no stranger to responding to difficult incidents. We work together to ensure every possible effort is put into bringing people home. The people on board the Titan and their families are our focus. We care deeply about their well-being. All of us here in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, the United States, and around the world are unified in this work. While the United States Coast Guard, in cooperation with the Canadian Coast Guard, is leading this search and rescue effort, our critical role remains in a support capacity. It has been a very difficult few days for the crew and families of those on board the Titan and the Polar Prince. The Polar Prince captain and crew have been steadfast in providing support during this very difficult time. We have been supporting the Titanic expeditions for several years. The Polar Prince, a 72-meter vessel, remains at the Titanic site participating in rescue efforts. The vessel is an iconic former Canadian Coast Guard icebreaker that has been upgraded with advanced technology and provides research and expedition support services to clients, primarily in the Arctic. Miabuket Horizon purchased the Polar Prince in 2021. The Horizon Arctic is also involved in this mission. The 94-meter vessel is one of the most powerful and versatile offshore support vessels in the world. Often working internationally, this Canadian flag vessel has recently performed rig moves, offshore wind infrastructure installations, and seabed surveys before returning to Newfoundland and Labrador for a seasonal project this summer. The Horizon Arctic was en route to the site on Sunday and then returned to port in St. John's to pick up deep water equipment. Late last night, the Arctic crew loaded a U.S. ROV, which, thanks to the U.S. military, arrived by air to St. John's Airport late yesterday. The vessel departed the port of St. John's at 5 a.m. this morning and will arrive at the Titanic site tomorrow morning. We are very aware of the time sensitivity around this mission. Our crews and onshore team are experts in their fields and will continue to support this effort in every way we can. We remain focused on contributing to the search for the Titan crew and continue to hold out hope that they will be located and brought home safely. Chief Joe.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you all for being here too as well. My name is Chief Mazel Joe. I'm from the Mabuki First Nation down on the south coast of Newfoundland. And I can tell you that our people are very concerned for the crew of the Titan. We're proud of the Polar Prince, its crew, and work that is done. This remarkable vessel. We have no doubt that the captain and crew have been handling themselves with utmost expertise and professionalism throughout this difficult time. Also want to thank Sean and the support team here at Horizon for all they're doing to support the search and rescue operations. I've been in constant contact with the operation team of the company and have been reaching out to prayer groups across the country to bring hope to this effort. We are praying for our friends on board the Titan submersible. We want them to come home. We want them to come home. And we want them to come home safely. We ask everyone across Canada and the world to pray with us that we can find and rescue the Titan. Thank you. Lalio.
Can either of you tell us whether the Polar Prince has picked up any sign of life? I know they're doing sonar scanning as well. We've heard about the banging noises that the Poseidon's picked up. Has the Polar Prince heard anything? Do you have any sense from your technology?
So the U.S. Coast Guard's leading the search and rescue effort, as you know. We're taking our direction from them, and all the communications are flowing back through them. They had a fairly in-depth conference about an hour and a half ago, I think, and they've covered all that, so we have nothing further to add.
What does your crew say about the conditions out there? What does your crew say about the conditions out there? How difficult is it to operate? Are they going to stay indefinitely?
The North Atlantic is always a challenging place, especially in the region that we're in. The weather is not overly significant at this point, but it always presents a challenge in the region.
Are you really concerned about working ocean gatekeepers? The Polar Prince lost contact with the submersible on Sunday morning. Are you realistic? How optimistic are you that you will find the submersible and rescue the men on it?
The equipment that's been mobilized for this is the finest in the world, the most capable in the world. We have to hold out hope. I think, as you're aware, there's still life support available on the submersible, and we'll continue to hold out hope until the very end. All I can tell you there is all protocols were followed for the mission.
Sean, technical details from the Coast Guard about what's going on. Can you tell us about your staff on the ship? What are they telling you? What is it like out there? What's the mood on the ship? Any of that you can provide us?
These are extremely professional and experienced crews. This is an unprecedented situation, but I can assure you that they're handling their responsibilities very professionally and fully focused on trying to find the submersible and bring those people back safely.
Sean, did any family members go out on the vessel? Have any family members gone out on the vessel?
Sorry, just have some questions. Are the families aboard the vessels right now during the search and rescue operation? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's a question I can't answer.
What support were you giving them, the families?
The U.S. Coast Guard's leading the search and rescue effort, and all of that's being funneled through U.S. Coast
And Sean, Horizon Maritime does a lot of different things in the world. This is one of them. But I take it this community, this exploration, it sounds they're colleagues. They've been here for many years. They're friends. They're family to you guys. What is? I mean, you do a lot of things, but what is this situation like?
Yeah. Core values of the Albuquerque Horizon Maritime Services and Horizon Maritime Services is customer focus, and we're focused on all our customers and all the various missions we operate, making sure that they're carried out with the utmost safety.
How many trips have you done with Ocean Gate?
Is there anything out there that's capable of lifting this thing up from the depths that it's presumed to be and bringing it back to the surface?
There's a lot of variability around the question you're asking there, but the equipment that is on site and coming to site is the most capable of the world, and some of that equipment is certainly capable of reaching those depths.
How much time do you think there's left to be able to, if you were to have success, how much oxygen is left? How much time is there left to be able to actually keep these people alive, get them out alive?
There's variability around that question as well, Patrick. It's difficult for me to give you any more detail than the U.S. Coast Guard's already provided in their briefing.
Can you say exactly what time your vessel, the Polar Prince, launched the Titan? Exactly, specifically what time Sunday morning?
I don't have that off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
Can you tell us about the sense of urgency last night with getting the gear off the aircraft, down here with the police escort and onto the ship and out of here? Can you talk us through that with the people who are working?
Yeah, I've been in the marine industry since a very young age and seen a lot of different situations, and I've never seen equipment of that nature move that quickly. The response from the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. military, the folks at the airport, the people here, various companies were involved in the mobilization of that equipment to the Arctic. It was done flawlessly.
Can you give us more details about what kind of equipment that was?
It's a deepwater ROV.
And can you tell us how long will the Polar Prince stay out in that search area with crew that was, I guess, expecting to only be out there for 8 days or so?
How long can it stay out?
How long will it stay out during the search efforts?
It'll stay out until the search is completed.
Sean, can you talk about what, if any, communication the Polar Prince and the vessel had before it missed the timeline that it was supposed to meet for surfacing at the sea level? What, if any, communication did the Polar Prince have with the vessel before they knew it was missing?
There was regular communications up until a point, and then I think, as you're aware, their communication ceased.
Can you just expand on what regular means? Was the crew doing well? Was everything going as planned? Was there any moment where they communicated that they were in any sort of distress or having any sort of issues?
I'm not aware of any details around that.
I know you're really focused on the search right now, but there's been a lot of concerns raised already about the safety of this and what Ocean Gate was doing. Did you consider that when you partnered with Ocean Gate?
Look, Ocean Gate runs an extremely safe operation. Our full focus right now is getting that submersible located and getting those people brought back safely.
At what point did communication cease?
When they were diving to the Titanic at some point during it.
But do you have a timeline on that, specifically when you lost communication?
I don't have it on the top of my head.
Could you just tell us a little bit about how often you're in contact?
Okay.
Just one more question. Just how often you're in contact with the crew of the Polar Prince, and what kind of information are you getting from them?
We're in constant contact with the crew of the Polar Prince. Our emergency procedures kicked in immediately. Our emergency room next door is staffed 24/7 with a group of extremely capable people, and there's live communication with
How
us.
many crew are aboard out there on your ship? How many crew?
We've got 17 crew on board the ship.
Sean, why did it take so long for the emergency services to be notified?
Thanks, Sean.
70 or 17?
17.
Oh, that's okay. Yep.
The press conference there from Horizon, who they have, of course, contact with the Polar Prince. They also, I think the biggest takeaway from this, perhaps from a semantic standpoint, is one of the most powerful vessels in this particular field as far as underwater capabilities. The Horizon Arctic is on the way. I wonder if we can find that on our map, the marinetraffic.com map again. But Horizon Arctic, they're very powerful underwater capable ship is on the way to the Titanic site, but they understand the importance of getting there soon. They are not going to get there until tomorrow morning. So look, that of course, there's good news and bad news there. It's good to know that help is on the way, but really wish we could attach a rocket to that ship and propel them there faster, because all help is needed. It is a all hands on deck approach. The French vessel that is coming in, and people are asking, why is it? I see it in the comment section. Why are they just getting there now? They had to go back to get some deep sea equipment from St. John's and then make the trip back. What else is let's just focus on YouTube for a second. YouTube Live, we'll just talk with you guys. What's your big takeaway from the Horizon press conference? I saw one takeaway that blew up, but I'll let you guys articulate it in your own words. If you want your comment to be featured, we don't want to spotlight comments on stream that, look, your name would be put out there for tens of thousands of people. We have a very a sizable audience across multiple social media platforms right now. We don't want to put your name out there if you don't want your name to be out there, or your username out there. So that's why we have our hashtag system. It is a version of you telling us that you want your comment to be featured. If you use hashtag AJB, it is your way of telling us that you want your comment to be featured and spotlighted by us on stream. And so I'll be looking for what is your takeaway from the press conference. Use the hashtag and we'll animate it on screen. Let's see here. Oh, well, that would help. Let's filter. Look, wait. Comments are coming in so fast now. Where was that one? I think it was a really good question, but yeah, Aries wants to know, this press conference was full of non-answers. We'd be better off not hearing anything until there was an update. I don't necessarily agree with this comment. When you have national and international media hounding you for answers and for you to step forward and to communicate to the public your involvement with a particular massive news story that is developing, press conferences, even when we do not get a tremendous amount of information. Look, they don't have the answers over there with Horizon. Of course, all the answers are with the Coast Guard, with OceanGate, and with the team that is actively searching the North Atlantic. But these press conferences are done because the media wants answers from the respective entities that are attached to this right now. And we did get some information there. So if the press conference was a lot of was 100%, I can't answer that at this time. I do not know. I refer you to the U.S. Coast Guard for that type of question. Those types of non-answers, I understand that. But we did get some tangible, usable information, even though it was not satisfactory to most of our commenters, because I was watching your comments, folks, as they came in during this press conference, and you felt as if it was unsatisfactory. Blessed wants to know, is the Navy involved at all? Yes, the Navy is working in tandem with the U.S. Coast Guard, but the Coast Guard is really the lead agency from an American standpoint. Jasmine, like any other disaster, we'll never get the full story. Is the comment here from Jasmine. Technology has really evolved. And I think that we are more equipped now at any point in our existence to be able to get answers. So while it's our job as reporters, as journalists, as people who document history, the lead agencies that are attached to this case, the investigation that will undoubtedly get launched in the aftermath of this once it reaches its conclusion. There is a full story here to be told, and there's significant fact finding ahead. However, I do think that that the chances are good that we get answers. Will we ever understand the full story? I think that depends on the outcome, and there's several different outcomes on the table. However, technology's come a long way. Let's give human achievement an opportunity here. We have developed tremendous tools to be able to respond to a crisis like this. And while you could argue that it was technology itself that led us to finding ourselves in this predicament, just because you find yourself dug in deep into a hole doesn't mean you can't dig yourself and be rescued from it. So dig yourself out or get rescued from it. So I don't know. I really don't know, Jasmine. I think that there's a chance that we do get something close to the full story, depending on the outcome. Folks, eventually, without so let me explain. Here in the Stream Center, let me please explain. Our team right now is actively working this story and others. And so I have not been joined in the chairs in front of me, not because no one wants to join me on stream. I'm very lucky to work with some great people such as Josh Benson, Masa Saidi, Walt Buteau, Jeff Patterson, people that you'll see occupy these chairs. The problem is that right now they are all working very diligently on this story and other stories and getting ready for our evening newscasts. And so when they have free time, they come and sit down and join me. But right now there is no free time. And that's why eventually, due to us it being a situation where I'm all by my lonesome here, and I do not have reinforcements on standby, I am going to eventually have to take a break. I do sit in this chair a lot, and people ask questions all the time. JB, when are you going to go eat or drink or maybe use the facilities? Yeah, I am not a robot. I do have to go do these things. So we're going to do another 10 minutes or so, and then we're going to have to take a break. We're just by the logistical situation that we find ourselves in here. We are going to have to take a break. Doesn't mean that our coverage ends for the day, but we might take anywhere from a 15 to 30-minute break to allow me to recharge, and also maybe for all of you a chance to eat, to hydrate, to do what you have to do as well. And we'll continue our streaming coverage. And we're talking about the possibility of our streaming coverage continuing for quite a while. It's just a matter of what we're capable of providing. We really do appreciate people joining in and participating with our hashtag system and joining us in here live. But I am one person. I can't do it all by myself. I hope that that is heard beyond the Stream Center. That I am looking for co-hosts. I'm looking for co-anchors. I'm looking for guests to join. But our team right now is so diligently working on this behind the scenes that working the phones, working emails, trying to talk to people. It's just difficult for us to find a spare person to come join us on stream or to track down guests at the moment. I would love to have particular guests join me on stream. And that's why on Twitter, in advance of going on live stream, I ask for you guys to tag who you want to see, because then I can just shoot them an email and say, hey, the audience online, people on social media, they want to hear from you. Will you come on live stream? That's why we get some familiar faces, even YouTubers that will come on, or various legal experts or experts in their respective fields will join us on stream. But right now our team is working, and we are stretched so thin working on this story and trying to get answers that, yes, I am here by myself. So that's where we find ourselves. I'll do another 10 minutes and then I'll have to take a break. Otherwise, I'm going to just melt on camera. Casey Nickel, hashtag HeyJB, is there another update scheduled? Not that I've seen. That Canadian presser was very sudden, and we carried it here live. And if any development, if any source pops up, we can animate it on the touchscreen here, and we can bring you. The purpose of the Stream Center is to be able to access hundreds, if not thousands, of feeds across the country and bring them to you with quite literally a tap of my finger. So if something pops up, I can almost guarantee you'll find out about it here first, as far as a live feed or a streaming opportunity. But right now, we're back to the waiting game in this particular story. Looking here at some comments. Man, that's the first laugh I've had in a while. Look, we're a local news station. I'm not going to insert network here. We're not one of them. People have asked for a long time, what is your operation like? And we are a local news station that does interactive journalism. That's what we are. But do I have an army of producers outside, like ready, or an army of reporters or co-hosts ready to sit down here in the Stream Center with me? No, I don't. Especially when it's news time and we are live with our 4 o'clock newscast on your NBC station here in Tampa Bay, WFLA News Channel 8 at 4 o'clock, 1 hour from now. So you want to apply for a job here at WFLA? You want to work with me here in the Stream Center? You can. Jobs are on, what is it? Hold on. Nexstar Careers. Just Google Nexstar Careers and look for jobs in Tampa. That's funny. I'm sorry. Apologies for going off topic. It's just I couldn't help but laugh at people wanting to be part of the process and wanting to help to the point where they're asking where they apply. Jess, that was a good laugh. All right. Some of these questions I've answered repeatedly, so I'm going to try to look for ones that we haven't had. This is a great question, Benjamin. How much does the search effort depend on daylight? And I'm just going to give my ears a break from my IFBs. Not as much as you would think, because a lot of the search efforts are. But look, as far as the subsurface, as they call it, the subsurface, the search efforts operating during daylight. I mean, of course, when they come up from the depths and when they descend down from the surface, that you want to do is more ideal to do when there's daylight. However, as far as the underwater search, when you get down to a certain depth, and I don't know what depth it is, but when you get down to a certain depth, it doesn't matter if it's day or night for the most part. You're going to have the same level of visibility regardless of it if it's noon or midnight. So hold on one second. I got to talk with our team. Hold on. Back to some of the questions and comments. Thank you for that one, Benjamin. I thought about that too because I couldn't sleep very well last night. And I was thinking about what it would be like to be out there on the water, to be on the Polar Prince, and to be looking out and seeing darkness and wondering what was going on in the depths of the ocean. You ever been out in open water late at night and it's like way out in open water where you can't see the coast? It can get really dark and very quiet, other than the sound of the current, the sound of waves. I'm sorry, was I needed? Oh, okay. I'll keep talking. Sorry, a lot of team members walking in and out. Heather wants to know what's the name of the ship that's on the way and from where. So yeah, we had there's the French vessel that's on the way. The name eludes me at the moment, and then of course we have in my notes the Horizon Arctic, but it is not expected to get there until tomorrow morning. But look, if they have really done an excellent job of conserving air down there, tomorrow morning is very much in play for locating and executing a search and rescue. Anonymous says, yes, the tapping noises could be Morse code, could be an SOS, could be Morse code. I don't know what else would you indicate via Morse code other than SOS, like what you're trying to. I mean, clearly the only thing that would really, I don't know if there's anything else you would want to communicate other than SOS, but Morse code, you would hope that somebody on board is very familiar with Morse code because that is it's pretty much the most primitive form of communication in a scenario like this, right? It's almost like binary. I can talk about binary because I'm an IT dork. Binary, the idea of communicating in zeros and ones, tapping and untapping. Morse code is very similar. To that concept. So yeah, of course it could be Morse code, but again, nothing has been indicated in any press conference officially on the record that it is an SOS. And also, too, they cannot definitively say whether or not those sounds are coming in 30-minute intervals. Unicorn, it's not really for me to say. It's more about what I do is provide context and explanations, but like an open-ended, direct opinion type of question like this, I really don't like to answer, and I don't answer much on stream, if ever. I can be open and honest with you and explain what I know and what I don't know and try to provide context. Providing context versus providing a raw, direct opinion are two very different things. So I try my very best to avoid giving opinions and I strive to provide context. This is an opinionated question. But I will say this, and again, this is me filling in the blanks, providing context. You will never be able to, successful or unsuccessful with the search and recovery, you'll never be able to talk about underwater expeditions to the Titanic wreckage without bringing up this. We will learn from this. We will, for better or worse, we will gain a better understanding of underwater exploration, how it is to be safely conducted. But is this the last one? That's a question for you guys. How about just a straight yes or no response from people in our comment section? It's not about my opinion. This platform, WFLA Now and interactive live streaming, is all about getting your opinion. So let's ask you guys. Do you think this is the last sub ride to the Titanic ever? Comment just yes or no in the comment section. And we'll see if we get more yeses or nos. In the meantime, I'll look for some other comments. Julian, who's the fifth member on board? There's the French naval commander. Of course, we have Stockton Rush, the CEO. We have Hamish Harding, the adventurer, the billionaire from the UK. And then we have the Dawoods, I believe, or Dawoods, the Pakistani businessman and his son. Those are the 5 members. I'm seeing mostly no's. Mostly no's. Some people are saying definitely no. And look, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I don't even know, relatively, I don't know what the time frame would be. But there are going to be some very harsh opinions given as to this situation, and that will provide, I am sure people are going to look for reasons for this to never, for this to not be the final trip to the Titanic. I'll say that. People are going to look and search and try to provide rhetoric as to why underwater exploration and underwater trips to the Titanic can continue in the future. Where's that? See, they're coming in so quickly. Oh, here. Tanya says, are they sending an unmanned vessel to the suspected site? Yeah, they have unmanned ROVs, underwater ROVs that are working the site and trying to get down as deep as possible right now. But as I understand it, the best equipment and the best personnel to really go and expand this search in the depths of the ocean beneath the Polar Prince and at the Titanic wreckage site and in that area are on the way. Like the I don't want to be quoted, but it's almost as it's been communicated that like I don't want to say it. There are crews on the way and equipment on the way that specialize in underwater work and underwater recovery. And they should be there in the coming hours into tomorrow morning.